We are just one step away from reaching the moon. 2023 was a milestone for the SpaceX flight test as, for the first time, it successfully did the hot staging operation. This was an extremely important stepping stone, and for this year, Elon Musk has already announced a date for the next flight test, and this time, nothing can stop the Starship from touching the orbit. But what makes SpaceX so sure about it? The Starship team has identified exactly what went wrong in the November test flight, and now they are ensuring that there are no loopholes by implementing multiple new upgrades and precautions. In this video, we will explore what those new upgrades are and also check out the new date for the Starship Flight Test 3. Elon Musk recently revealed that the explosion of the Starship's upper stage during a test flight in November happened because of a planned fuel dumping maneuver. SpaceX wanted to get rid of extra liquid oxygen fuel towards the end of the upper stage engine burn, but the maneuver didn't go as planned. If the spacecraft had carried a payload, Musk believes it would have successfully reached orbit. The failure to reach orbit was caused by the release of liquid oxygen, leading to a fire and explosion during the test flight around 7 minutes and 7 seconds into the flight, possibly from the liquid oxygen fire. However, Elon Musk didn't explain how the venting caused the fire, and he didn't comment on the explosion of the Super Heavy booster after separating from the upper stage during its boost back burn. Even though fuel dumps are risky, this incident is seen as part of the testing process. The telemetry data from Ship 25 during the tests suggested that it could have reached orbit. So, SpaceX plans to do the third Starship flight in February 2024, pending approval of an updated launch license from the Federal Aviation Administration. Or, Elon Musk shared exciting plans for the next space mission. He explained that they wanted to do more tests on the Starship spacecraft. SpaceX will test a door for a payload dispenser. This door will be used on future flights to release big Starlink 2 satellites. Elon wants this test to happen before the end of 2024. There's also talk about a new tower, but they haven't said where it will be. People have noticed activity near Pad B and the wetlands. They might build it at the current launch site, but they need permission to expand into the wetlands. There's a chance that Massey's, a place that has been changing since 2023, could replace Pad B and the tank farm. When flying over, observers saw Ship 30 and Booster 12 at Massey's, indicating they might be storing methane and oxygen there. A new structure is being built that might be used for a test where they shoot fire into it. People think they might move a launch pad to a different location called Massey's because they're removing some concrete. We're not sure if SpaceX will build a new test stand or use an existing one. The upper part of the third Starship, called Ship 28, was put on a stand and covered with heat tiles. It won't go back to the test pad, but will be worked on in a big building. In the third flight, they aim to go into orbit and try out the engines while in space. Elon mentioned that they would use a special tank at the front of the spaceship for this. This tank is normally used during the spaceship's re-entry and landing. Elon thinks that if they can show the spaceship can safely come back to Earth, it will be a big achievement. In the same mission, they also want to test moving fuel from the small tank to the big tank. This is an important step for future missions, especially if they want Starship to go to the moon. Elon believes they might even try transferring fuel between 2 spaceships by the end of this year or definitely by next year. They upgraded the tank farm that holds fuel for space travel. Some vertical tanks were replaced because they had issues. One tank, called GSC-88, unexpectedly went up in the air on January 9th. They quickly took it apart, as many expected, because it had problems with methane certification and water filling and was too close to the launch pad. There's a plan to change the way we store fuel for rockets. Instead of having tanks standing up, they will be lying down horizontally and protected by strong walls. This should solve some problems we've been facing. People are talking about getting rid of all the old tanks before the third Starship flight to avoid damage to the launch area. Now, taking away the standing tanks might affect the third Starship test, but don't worry, 2 important water tanks needed for cooling are staying. SpaceX might quickly put in a new system or use a temporary fix, like bringing in a portable water tank. People are also discussing whether to get rid of all the standing tanks, which could save space and change how the second stage 0 is designed. Elon Musk mentioned possibly building a new tower at Starbase in 2024. Recent news, like moving a launch tower and tanks, supports this idea. SpaceX initially designed Starship inspired by Starship tech. However, they faced problems with rules about methane tanks, so they turned some of those tanks into water storage. They're getting rid of old tanks but keeping stainless steel water tanks that are important for pressurizing others. Starship's second stage has an impressive propulsion system with 6 Raptor engines. 3 of them work best in outer space, and the other 3 are designed for conditions closer to sea level. The spacecraft uses liquid methane as fuel and liquid oxygen as an oxidizer. As part of a $53 million contract with NASA for lunar lander capabilities, SpaceX is doing a 10-ton transfer of liquid oxygen. Starship has big tanks for storing fuel. The top one holds liquid methane, and the bottom one holds liquid oxygen, which is crucial for tricky maneuvers like the landing flip. SpaceX has cleverly added 2 smaller tanks inside the nose cone, which play a key role during the belly flop maneuver. The back part of the liquid oxygen tank has a cone shape to accommodate Raptor engines, with holes for engines and pipes. The vacuum-optimized engines attach to mounts connected to a strong dome that has hollow mounts for fuel pipes. The part called the thrust puck has mounts and a pipe system for the middle engines that use liquid methane. This pipe system, located at the bottom of the liquid methane pipe, spreads the fuel evenly. Pipes carrying liquid methane then link to the outer engines through another piping system above the thrust puck. For Starship's liquid oxygen supply uses a design where the flow can switch between the main tank and a smaller tank, header tank, similar to what Super Heavy uses. Manifolds and valves control how the liquid oxygen moves. An interesting feature is that each pair of engines, one optimized for sea level and the other for vacuum conditions, shares a common liquid oxygen supply. This design ensures a higher flow rate for efficient fueling. A crucial part of Starship is the main liquid methane pipe, which is smaller than the one on Super Heavy but complex at the top. It connects to the liquid methane distribution system using valves and filters for efficient operation. The liquid oxygen and methane header tanks are cleverly placed at the tip of Starship's nose cone. The liquid oxygen tank is part of the nose cone tip, and a liquid methane tank hangs below. These tanks are vital for landing and connect to the spacecraft's propulsion system through insulated pipes. SpaceX is trying out a new way to move cold fuel from a small tank to a big tank inside their Starship spacecraft. This isn't just a cool experiment. NASA wants to use this technology in spacecraft that will carry humans to the moon as part of the Artemis 3 mission and in future missions. The idea is to set up a sort of gas station in space using Starship spacecraft to refuel lunar landers for trips to the moon. And speaking of Artemis, Artemis 2 and Artemis 3 are part of NASA's plan to explore the moon. But they're taking longer than expected because of safety issues. Artemis 2, a mission with people on board in a spacecraft called Orion, won't launch before September 2025. There are worries about the heat shield, life support system, and electrical problems. Artemis 3, which involves a changed SpaceX Starship lander, won't launch before September 2026 because SpaceX wants to do about 20 test flights of the Starship to make sure the fuel transfer system is safe. Meanwhile, on January 6, the rocket Vulcan Centaur of United Launch Alliance took off from Florida. It had some problems with its engines and the pandemic, but it still did great. Its first official flight, called Certification Flight 1, went perfectly. It had 2 powerful B4 engines and a Centaur V upper stage. The rocket changed its course to go toward the moon. After 43 minutes, a lander named Peregrine, made by Astrobotic, carrying ashes, separated from the rocket. However, there was a problem with the Peregrine lander as it didn't work well 32 hours into the mission because of issues with its propulsion system and valves. Apart from that, in about 80 minutes, the Centaur V positioned itself between planets, and the CEO of ULA proudly said that the launch was 100% successful. So, what's your take on SpaceX's explanation for the November Starship test failure? And do you believe the proposed changes will enhance the success of future flights? Share your excitement and predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more updates, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a moment of space exploration history. Thanks for watching.